There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your podcast host and life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code framework that will enable you to wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. When you're ready for more, head to marcybarker.com and we'll chat about your next goal. All right, let's dive in. Hello, my beautiful people. Welcome to the next episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. Yesterday, we did an accountability webinar, and if you guys want the replay, definitely reach out to me. You guys can always contact me through marcybarker.com. But the accountability webinar was really awesome because I got to brag about my clients. And the reason I like to do this is because I want you guys to see pieces of yourself in other regular women who are just trying to level up. Because really, the ability to be accountable is not the same plan for everybody, but it's everybody trying to do their own thing a little bit better. When I played soccer in high school, our coach had the saying, every day, every way, get a little better. And I think that is a good summary of accountability. Like, that's all we're trying to do is become a little bit better in each part of our lives every single day. And the accountability code has been such a blessing in my life and the lives of my clients that I'm always happy to share it. But it's really cool to just hear people's stories because it's possible for you to do this too. Accountability is being able to follow through on the nudges that you feel on the inside and then physically being able to follow through. So in the accountability webinar, we talked about 3 different lessons. The first one being why traditional planning just doesn't work and you've got to stop following plans that people tell you to follow. The second thing is you maybe have had a hard time being accountable because you haven't been accountable in the past. So you tell yourself you're going to do something, but you don't fully trust yourself. So we're going to talk about how trusting yourself is a really big piece of accountability. And then the third one we're going to talk about is why now is the absolute time to take action. Putting it off is actually very dangerous. So we're going to talk about those first 3 things. All right. So first lesson on being accountable and ditching traditional plans. When I was on the big TV production and I was writing my book, I listened to my mentors the entire time. And I wrote my book. I followed the outline. I did everything that they told me. And they constantly told me that my book wasn't done. And I got done with 5 weeks in Guatemala. And I was like, okay, I did my part. Now you do your part. You edit, you design it, and you publish it. And they just kept telling me it wasn't done. It wasn't done. It wasn't done. And it wasn't until I actually changed the plan and I wrote the introduction of the accountability code that it actually works. And guess what? Nobody gave me any direction on how to write an introduction to the book. So if you have not yet listened to the podcast, it's towards the very beginning because I've told the story before about how the accountability code came to be, but it really didn't even exist until I took somebody else's plan and I finally was like, I got to put my own spin on this because obviously I've been following somebody else's plan for the last 6 months and it's not working. And it actually is very frustrating to be accountable when you realize you can't even hit the top notch of your goal. And it's because somebody else said it for you and it doesn't take your full situation into effect. So in the webinar yesterday, I shared a story about Kim. I have a lot of different clients, but one of my clients, she wanted to do events because I've done events. And so she hired me to teach her how to do that. And so we did an event. It was very awesome. It was successful. And then I had another client sitting in the audience. Her name was Kim. And Kim was like, okay, I am inspired. I want to do my own events, but I don't know how to do events. And I was like, that is totally fine because you don't have to follow my event perfectly. You don't have to follow the other client's event perfectly because honestly, those plans are not going to work for you because our plans were specific to what we wanted the outcome to be. So I taught Kim the accountability code. We set a date for her event. I taught her how to create a landing page. We started an email opt-in list. We set up a checkout page. Like, I taught her all of these things. And the coolest part about it is that I didn't teach her to follow my plan to a T. I just taught her different components of a successful plan, but it really only came together after Kim put her spin on it and she made decisions about what she wanted to do. So I want you to think about what plans in your life you've tried to follow and you're just like, this is not even working. Like, it can be a simple meal plan that you got off the internet and it's just not coming together in your household. You still look in the fridge and you're like, what am I supposed to make tonight? You have the ability to be more accountable when you say, what are the pieces of this plan that I like? And what do I need to adapt to according to my own wisdom and my own experience? Because once you do that, your ability to follow through is going to increase dramatically. So I want you to know it's not your fault that you're not being accountable. It's the plan that you've adopted and it's the plan that you've agreed to. So if you're having a hard time being accountable, it's time to take a step back, wake up, and adjust the plan so that you can actually follow through. The second lesson that we talked about in the accountability webinar was a story of Susan. And Susan has been such a great client, and she came to me because her business was mostly made up of affiliate sales. So her income was because she was selling other people's products. And I said, how many people do you have on your email list? And she said, we don't have an email list. And I was like, what in the world? How are you doing affiliate marketing with no email list? Like, you don't even have a stable audience to talk to. And she did it through a blog. And raise your hand if you do a blog, guys. Hardly anybody does blogs anymore. There is a very few number of people that make income from blogs anymore. So Susan was trying to follow a plan that was just kind of old and outdated. But here's the thing. When we talk about you have a hard time being accountable because you actually don't trust yourself, this is what Susan was dealing with. Susan, her business was going down the drain because she didn't know how to improve it because it was somebody else's plan. And Susan had to come up with the answers herself, because when she was considering hiring me, she's like, well, what promises can you give me? Like, what guarantee do I have in my business? And I was like, I can't give you a guarantee because everybody's situation is different. And I'm not in the business of helping people reactivate their blogs and increase their affiliate income. That's not my niche. My niche is strategy, execution, and accountability. So once we use the accountability code, it's going to reveal the next perfect action steps for you. And that's where I come in to make sure that you're listening, you're waking up, and you're showing up and you're doing it. So what was really awesome about Susan's story is that she dove in to this book, The Accountability Code, and she trusted the process, because as she was diving in, we got on a personal call and she had this huge awakening of like, oh my gosh, I haven't been listening to the messages that have been coming through, because the last 20 years I have been spending all of my time and energy on my kids and I lost who I was. And my book helped her recognize that she needed to now address all of those feelings that were coming up. So what Susan did is, in the business side of things, she realized affiliate marketing, like running a blog, it was good because she's a writer, she's an editor, but it never really lit her up. Her business, choosing to grow it, was her vehicle of saying, how do I want to change? And it was really cool because when we looked at Susan's business, it was like slowly dwindling away. Her affiliate income was just dropping month after month. And it was very similar to how she was feeling in her personal life over the last 20 years. She kind of was just disappearing and she was losing who she was. And she came to me because her business, it was like sink or swim, like save it or be done. And Susan got to a point in her life that she's like, I got to save myself. Like, it's time for me to find myself again so I don't lose this. And it was really cool because Susan, going through the accountability code, learned that she had to start trusting that that was the message that she was going to build her progress on now. So it wasn't that Susan wasn't accountable, but it was Susan was losing trust in herself. She was losing the true message that kept her motivated and on fire. Because if she was all into affiliate marketing and she loved it with a passion, then she would have taken action a lot sooner. But there was a disconnect there, and the accountability code helped her bring it in. And this is also really similar to what happened in my own business. When I went through a coaching program to realize how I needed to scale, I was also trying to push a message that I wasn't fully converted to. Like, I liked helping people get in shape and I liked helping people lose weight and love themselves. But at the core of what I wanted to do was share how to be accountable, because you want to look in the mirror and know that you're doing your best every single day, regardless of how much you weigh, or regardless of how much money you make, or regardless of what your stats are in business. So in my own situation, the accountability code helped me realize what my true message was. And when you share your true message, man, it's like motivation. Motivation doesn't even need to be there because it's something that you could do all day long. Like me, ask me about accountability and I will start talking and I won't stop. But there's other parts of our business that maybe we're not super passionate about, but we still have to learn.
Hey, my beautiful people. The message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's completely free. All you got to do is take this quick action. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code, Wake Up and Show Up.
So the second lesson in the accountability webinar was learning how to trust yourself. And the best way to start trusting yourself and be accountable to that is to start taking action on the right things. Start taking action on the things that actually matter to you. Because when you ignore what actually matters to you, then you are basically inviting resistance into your life. Because resistance is the way that you're recognizing that you're not doing what you should be doing. So in the accountability webinar, I want you to realize, like, you don't need more motivation with the right message. If you are trying to push a message that's not right for you, then yeah, you probably will need motivation every single day because it's something you don't want to do. So look at what you're doing right now. Are you in a situation where you're just like, I absolutely don't like this? Like, some people, for them, it's their job. And they're like, I'm tired of this. I got to do something else. I had an experience just a couple days ago where somebody said something about me and I was like, this is bothering me. I have to address it. And it's with a close family member. So I could have motivation to just push through it, but what was most important for me is I had to address it and get to the bottom of it and clear it up. And when you guys have that intention of doing what matters most, you don't need motivation because it is so strong in your mind and in your body that it has to be addressed, and you're actually excited to go and take care of that thing. So I want you to look at your situation, and if there's something that has been nagging at you, that's what you need to take action on. And that's how you begin to trust yourself, is that you take action on the things that are actually speaking to you from within. So if you find yourself kind of ignoring that, then that's the answer to why you're not being that accountable, is because you're ignoring it. So you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with how you have tried to be accountable, but we have to tune in and recognize that there's probably a lot of things in our life that have distracted us from listening. So that was the second lesson. The third lesson is why you just start and stop, or you're waiting for the perfect time to do something. And this is actually a very dangerous thing to do. And I'm going to start by sharing a quick example. If one of my friends who came to my event, she said that she was going to run a 5K, and it's been like 30 years since she ran. And she's like, you know what? I got to get started somewhere. And I saw this event and I thought now is the perfect time. And I said, yes, I absolutely love that. And we talked about, if you have the attitude of now is the perfect time, well, pretty soon she's going to be able to say, it hasn't been 30 years since I ran. It's been 3 days since I ran. And guess what? The people who find it the easiest to run are the people who ran the most recently. Okay. So when you're thinking about, oh, when's the best time to be accountable? When's the best time to level up on my goals? Absolutely right now. Because every moment that you put off, every day that you put it off, you are weakening your confidence muscle and you are weakening your action muscle. Now, I had somebody say, oh, well, now is not the right time. I'm so busy. I'm doing this and this and that. Well, she's getting better at doing this and this and that. She is losing her ability to take action on the things that are actually bothering her, the thing that made her reach out to me in the first place about being accountable. So this was really interesting because in my own business, and I share this in the webinar, I was in business for 5 years before I took a big leap. Now, in my business, in that first 5 years, I did get to a point where I made a lot of money. It was my best year in business. I made $66,000, and I was like, this is cool for a side hustle. And then I did all my numbers, and I was like, oh my gosh, my expenses were $65,000, and I paid everybody else in my business way more than I paid myself. And I worked way more than anybody else. And so when I realized that that was happening, that's why I jumped on a big opportunity to grow my business, is because I didn't want to repeat that cycle. I didn't want to repeat that. And spending so much time and money and energy on a business, you want to make sure that you're doing it as best as possible. But the thing is, people who put off business growth or they put off professional development, they are literally making it harder for themselves the next day. So in the webinar, I talked about Ashley. You guys have heard about Ashley before. She was on my podcast a couple years ago, and she was also at my retreat show. She was there recently. She needs to come on the podcast again because, oh man, her growth has been so amazing. But here's the funny thing about Ashley's story. When she got on a call with me, we went through the accountability code, and my daughter was sitting in the room. And after the call was over, my daughter said, "Mom, did you just tell that lady to quit her job?" And I was like, no, I did not say that. That was not my idea. She's the one that said it. So my job is to help her do it because she knows that's what needs to happen next. So Ashley did my program. She was there for every personal call. She showed up. And then at the retreat, the celebratory retreat, we did a podcast episode. I recorded podcasts with all my clients there. And Ashley told me right there on the spot that she never opened the workbook during the program. And I was like, what? I'm so surprised. And the reason why she put it off is because she knew she was going to have to take action. She already knew she needed to quit her job. And the whole 8 weeks in the accelerator, I was like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? And she was too scared to do it. But here's what happened. Ashley got at that retreat and she saw so many successful women who took action. They didn't put it off. And she was like, this is possible for me now. I can see it, because Ashley didn't have anybody in her life that could be a good example of that. That just was so foreign to her. So starting a business, she just wrapped her head around it and she was like, okay, I can see how I can quit my job now. And so Ashley got to the point where she was like, this is the perfect time. Actually the perfect time was 8 weeks ago, but now it's the perfect time. She chose that she wasn't going to put it off any longer. And what was so awesome is that Ashley got help and support from me and my community. And she went home from that retreat and she quit her job. And within 3 weeks, she tripled her income from her side hustle because she knew it was possible. And now she had confidence that took her further. But if Ashley kept putting it off and putting it off and putting it off, she would have slowly stayed in the same spot. She actually probably would have been worse off because she experienced that community. She experienced and saw with her own eyes people who were being successful. And had she passed that up, it would have made her job even more difficult, her task of quitting her job. So now is the perfect time. Like if you guys are feeling feelings of like, I got to do this, or I know what I need to do, I just need to do it, freaking do it. I want you to know that if you get into the right community, the right support system, taking action is so much easier. And if you don't know yet, that's one of the things I'm really good at, is giving you access and strength to a community who's going to support you. That is absolutely what I have given to all of my clients, is a very supportive and safe place to take action and to connect with people. So when I talked about Kim doing events, guess what? I don't help Kim plan events anymore because I taught her how to do it and she knows how to do it. So what is she doing? She's growing her network and she's growing her community, but she learned something once. Same thing with Susan. I don't have to hold Susan's hand anymore because I taught her what she needed to know. And now she has the skills to go and do it. And she's growing and she has her own coaching business and she's making more money doing what she loves, editing books and coaching people. And the same is true with Ashley. Ashley, she just hired her first couple of employees. And it's been so amazing to see her growth. And The thing is that Ashley has now learned how important it is to take action. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly how it will end up. It just needs to happen. And Ashley has the amount of confidence that you would not even recognize from 2 years ago. Like, she just knows that she's got to do something, and she knows that if she does the work, she's going to benefit from doing it. So it was actually really cool because on one of our last calls, she added up the numbers and she's like, this is how much money I'm going to make without even stepping into a house to clean it. And I was like, that's how you run a profitable business. Ashley's not going to fall into the same trap I did of making a lot of money in business and then realizing all of it went out the door for expenses. She doesn't have to go through that because I'm going to help her. She found the right support system and she chose to take action. So those are the 3 lessons I want you to apply to your life right now. The first one being, ditch the traditional planning. If there's some sort of plan you've adopted and it's not working, throw out the pieces that don't work and add in your own experience and wisdom to adapt. And I can help you do that. The Accountability Code can help you do that. I'm here to support you. The second lesson is you've got to start sharing the right message so that you're confident in what you're actually doing. So tune into what's most important and start taking action in very small, consistent ways, because that's how you build your confidence. And when your confidence is there, you have the wherewithal to take action without motivation. That's a very powerful skill set to have. The third lesson is don't put off taking action. Like, I don't know how to stress this one because it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be practice. It just has to be putting in the reps so that what you want to do in the future is not so out of the ordinary. It needs to be something where you're like, I got this. I've been doing stuff like this and I'm ready to take the next leap, whether it's a little leap or a big leap. But you've got to take action now. So I don't even care what your goal is right now. You've got to do something to move the needle so that you don't become more out of shape. So anyway, if you guys want the replay to the webinar, definitely let me know, but I kind of gave you the cliff notes. One of the things I want you to really recognize is that if you're ready to take action, you've got to get into the Accountability Accelerator because it will help you with everything that I talked about. There are personal calls, there are group calls, there's accountability tracking, there's a whole course, there's the book. There's access to the Business Training Vault, so you can learn a lot more about business, like planning events and doing the numbers and hiring people. There's so much good stuff available to you, but you've got to put in the work. The first 1%, if you have a desire and you can communicate and you can take action, that's all that's required, and I can help you with the rest. So I want you to know you've got this. I'm here for you. I'm here to be your loving kick in the pants, and this is a safe place for you to take action, but you've got to get started. So if you've got any questions, you can book a call with me, marcybarker.com, ask me for the replay, and I'll see you all next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants.
Thank you for listening, friends. If you got value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop a review or share this with a friend. Let's be real. Let's spread the word because we all know someone who could use your loving kick in the pants.